Everyone, this is OotiniCast episode 455 being recorded on there it is, the 3rd of January 2023. It always messes me up when that happens. Let's see. And this is the raw version of the show with all flubs and errors and whatever all intact, and then we clean up the audio, put it out as a podcast tomorrow, and the raw version will also go out as a video to YouTube. And let's see, we're just about ready to go. It is basically the top of the hour. Let me go ahead and send a little tweet out, and we'll let everyone know we're on.
And I will tweet your tweet.
Okay.
There will be much tweeted. There will be tweeted.
Oh, I didn't notice if I saw it in the notes, but did you, in fact, go on Marcus's show? I thought you did.
No. I got the date wrong again.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be happening on the 12th.
Okay. So we'll have to have you mention that in just a second again during the main part of the episode.
I'll put it down at the bottom again.
Okay.
Shout outs.
All right. Just tweeted it out. And then let's go ahead and get going. All right, so let me get my little OBS thing where I need it. Got the
retweet your tweet.
Pull the thing down to where it's. What is this? Oh, okay. I don't want that. I don't need that.
This is not needed. That's some good chowder.
Hey, Squishy Twitchy detox. All right.
Okay.
No, that's funny. That's some good timing. I was. Whew! I just
stay with us, Jill. Stay with us.
I was just starting to drink when I realized I should probably just say I'm going to start in 5, and then my
of course
body automatically tried to start to talk even though I was drinking, and of course I inhaled some water. So now I can't go in 5 because I have to wait until I've cleared up a bit here. That's so funny.
That's all right, man. We all do it. You're just your muscle memory kicked in.
It did, and I had nothing but compulsion going for me at that point. It just immediately started to try to do both at once. That's so funny. Yeah, forced choke. Ah. Good morning, Vietnam. Holy shit.
Damn, I showed up to a man choking to death.
Yep. Once shot a man just for snoring too loud. All right. Now I'm ready to go, I think.
All right.
I have a little more water, this time without talking. Okay, going in 5. I mean, your Audacity is going, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Then I think we're all set to go. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that keeps babbling on about its mission. This is episode 455, being recorded on Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023. I'm your host, Jill, and with me is my co-host, KittyKissz. Hey, Kitty.
Happy New Year!
Exactly. Happy New Year to you. And what you been doing since the last show? You had a big Christmas stream, as I understand. Well, I showed up there, so a little bit. So
you came and said hello. That's all that, you know.
Mm-hmm. That was actually the day I was leaving, so I didn't get to stay long, but I did get to say hello.
Well, it was nice of you to stop by. I always appreciate it. Kitty and I did a 12-ish hour stream.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to go for 12 hours, but it was weird. It just kind of, I don't know. I think our energy level just kind of petered out, and it was really fun. We did a bunch of stuff. We did a watching of the 1978 Star Wars Christmas special.
That's fun.
So we basically just said, all right, we watch on YouTube. So we put in a link, and got it all ready. All right, everybody get to 0, and then 1, 2, 3, we all push play at the same. Me at the same time. And
nice.
Man, that is rough.
It is rough.
That show is rough, but it was really funny because, we were streaming at the same time. We were still gaming. It was just on.
Okay.
Because you don't want to just sit there and watch that without, having some sort of distraction.
Right.
But it was really funny. And it was great because, we're both the same age. And a lot of the people in chat were the same age. So like Harvey Korman came on.
Right.
And they're like,
Harvey Korman.
Oh my God. And then, B. Arthur's on there. And I'm not joking at all. I love B. Arthur. She's one of, I don't know why I've always liked her, but even as a kid, I always liked her. I thought she's awesome. She's B. Arthur. And then of course, the older you get, you just, I don't know. I've always had a thing for B. Arthur, I guess. And
that's awesome.
It was really fun.
Excuse me. Sorry.
People would bring up some funny stuff, like I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but people would react to it and just it was really good. Like a lot of it is like, how did they get Harrison Ford to do this?
Yeah. And is this why he didn't want to come back for any of the later movies?
Right. And why there's just so, if you've never seen the 1978 Star Wars holiday special, it's on YouTube. It is a sign of the time.
Yes, it's very
a
of its time.
Show.
Yeah, they did a lot of variety shows at the time. It was actually it was really one of the most popular ways to do a show back then, especially a one-off show.
Exactly.
Like they would do there was all kinds of them back then. I mean, you don't really remember the names of them because a lot of them were just sort of like here and gone, just one-off, but they would revolve it around, sometimes it was like a holiday, sometimes it would revolve around like one sort of fairly well-known person or another, sort of like like one of the Rat Packers or something like that, and it would just sort of like revolve around that person. But it would be a variety show, and it would have skits, and it would have songs, and it would have
song and dance,
and people just sitting around with martinis in their hand, just kind of chatting. It was its own little thing there for like probably 4 or 5 years in the late 70s, maybe, and then died out sometime in the early 80s.
Well, it was a derivative of vaudeville because the song and dance and
right,
all that that stuff that's kind of gone the wayside these days.
Yeah.
So watching it with modern eyes it's kind of rough. But
sorry, I still have a little water in my throat.
I mean, this is how bad it is. The first, I don't know. Well, Han and Chewie are on there for a little while, but then they go to Kashyyyk to go to Chewie's family, and there's no dialogue. There's no dialogue. It's just
right. No subtitles.
And you're just kind of all right. I guess this is what it's going to be like.
Yeah, and no one there to do the bouncing thing off of, like 3PO and R2, where you can understand what R2's saying because C3PO kind of makes it clear from what he says. He
relays it. But yeah, it's weird. And they're like watching Jefferson Airplane do songs, and there's this one part where Itchy, who is Chewie's dad, is watching some woman do an erotic dance.
Yes.
And it's just
and she was really famous at the time too, although I can't remember what her name is.
Oh, she sang. But anyway, it's ridiculous. Go check it out. If you could sit through the whole thing, you're a better person than I am. Because it's rough. I'm still playing my Loken character. He's a Loken clone that Kitty and I have been, have some a little RP thing going on. He's really, really fun. Dr. Loken. And he's just about to start the chapters. So
nice.
It's going to be fun because I am playing it. I'm letting chat decide what I do. So I'll be like, all right, I need a roll on how we're going to do this. And chat rolls, ! Roll, and whoever gets the highest number gets to choose how we do it. And that's been really fun. And it's just so I have no idea what they're going to choose. And there's been several options so far that I hadn't seen. I'm like, what? I didn't even know that was an option. Evidently,
that's excellent.
You just get so into a groove from doing it for so long,
right?
You're
right,
like,
and especially
I don't
like
have the heart to do that choice,
right?
But
yeah.
chat does. Chat's cruel. Pretty funny. Yeah, he's pretty wishy-washy. Light side 1 minute, dark side the next minute. Light side 1 minute, dark side the next minute. So the only person that he has been consistently nice to is Vet, because we romanced Vet, and I hadn't done that romance in a while, and it's pretty cool. But I did get a really cool outfit. For Vet, I got the Cad Bane-esque set for her.
Oh, okay.
And because it's a Loken clone I'm playing, Vet's got the Rakghoul virus. So it looks really cool because her eyes glow, but she's got that, the brim of the hat down.
Oh,
it looks
cool.
Really, really, really cool.
And it actually shows the hat too. Even though she's Twi'lek, that's cool because a lot of them don't.
Yeah, and it kind of cuts a little bit, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
like you could see that they would adapt the hat like that. That she would actually wear it like that. So
that's cool.
It's cool. But yeah, it's really, really, really cool. Been into that. Let's see what else. Kitty and I are rewatching The Bad Batch in anticipation for tomorrow.
Nice.
Which the Bad Batch season 2 is going to start. And
oh man,
Kitty loves The Bad Batch, and I really like it too. I think it's really fun, and I've been enjoying it. I think this is our third watch of it. Third time we've watched all the way through.
Oh, cool.
And I'm liking it even better.
All right.
Time.
We'll have something to talk about during the Cantina talk later on then.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And lastly, I went on to test server to try the 64-bit. And I don't know. I couldn't tell any difference except for the loading times were atrocious. It was taking up to 2 minutes to load into.
That probably, like hopefully that's something they can optimize for, but
yeah. But I'm still looking forward to it. Cool. I read just before we start, I don't know when they put that in, that they're going to be doing a completely new build on the test server for the 64-bit.
Yeah,
so
I'm hoping so, because I'll talk about it in a sec here, but I haven't been able to get on.
Cool. That's it for me, Chill.
All right, let me cough one more time. I managed to aspirate some water right before the show.
Poor Chill choked on some water before we started.
I think I'll be okay now. All right, so let's see who we've got in the chat. Thank you for everyone for coming. It's Twitch is very weird nowadays with who it shows in the chat. But anyway, what I see is A Gains P, Anatol 2765, Commander Root, Saya Riva, Darklight Smoothwolf is here, Drapsnat, Kitty Treats is here, Retox Detox, Squishy Twitchy. So hello everyone, thanks for coming. I also see Darth Dirty Socks, and was there someone? I thought I saw someone else earlier too. But anyway, thank you for coming. Let's see. So didn't have a ton of game time since the last show. I did go and visit my family over in Denver, and it was wonderful. We actually left on Christmas, which is always a little weird. I've done it a couple times in my life, and it's like it's kind of weird just because like a lot of everything's sort of still open at the airport, but only at the airport, and but there's like fewer flights. It's a little quiet, but there's also like fewer people doing security, so it still takes roughly the same amount of time, but it has kind of a weird, just kind of a different vibe to it. But we got there just fine, and it was so crazy. Like a couple days before we left, overnight, just in about 2 hours time, it dumped 8 inches of snow, and it was like the next morning there was like there was like almost a forearm worth of snow everywhere. It's like, okay, that happened last night. But it was great visiting them and all that, but obviously didn't play a ton of SWTOR, but did play some before I went, and then a couple days since we got back too. I did create a new cosplay character based on Kitty Pryde from the X-Men. And I made her Jedi Knight, but with assassin abilities. So going with the stealth is sort of the equivalent of her phasing ability. And then assassin rather than shadow, just because in the comics, you don't really notice it so much in like the movies, but in the comics at least, when she phases through things, she can either short out electrical equipment or shock people, essentially. So there's some sort of electrical effects of her phasing abilities.
That's cool.
Yeah, at least canonically in some versions of the comic book. So I went with the assassin abilities. Plus, it's kind of always fun to switch it out and see the opposite stuff. She's up to level 49, end of Balsavis. There was a little double XP before I left, so she was already sort of ahead of the game. And so she's still kind of ahead of the game because she's level 49 and she still has Voss and Corellia to go. Mm-hmm. And liking her a lot. It's a lot of fun. I'm going with like the really old-fashioned blue and yellow X-Men sort of uniform.
Oh,
so it was kind of fun finding something that kind of worked for that. I could do another one for like the movie, but the movie version is like, it's just a black leather suit. So, I'm sure I could do something with that, but in some ways it wouldn't be as interesting. Mm-hmm. I did do some PvP on her as well, but now that she's hit the 45 level and now she's at the 45 to 79 bracket, I'm not going to touch it until I get a little higher because it's just no good.
Did you try it? Did you go in? Are you speaking of past?
I've done it semi-recently, and it's like you're just completely useless as a level 45er. I mean, maybe if as a stealther, maybe I could steal a few doors or whatever, but I just get wiped hard. So yeah, not a lot of fun. So gonna keep going, and then when she's maybe 60 or so, I'll start queuing up again. Hopefully I'll be able to do that soon. I'd like to try to get some of the PvP season stuff done. Didn't manage to get it done, even though I queued up a few times. You have to get like quite a number of them done, either arenas or war zones, and then they don't count towards each other's. Like there's nothing that counts towards both. So you can make a little progress in the arena versions or the Warzone versions when you get one of those to pop, but not in both. And then I was kind of getting some more arenas than. Anyway, I wasn't able to get enough to actually advance anything last week because I only had like half a week anyway. But it was fun to do, and it like I said, once it pepped 45, we stopped, and we'll get back to it. Let's see. Oh yeah, we just did. Like I said, Belsavis. If you ever want to laugh, look up the Wikipedia article for Enna Tabord. I put the link in the show notes. It's ENNA Tabord, Tabord. She's a Jedi you're supposed to meet on Belsavis for the Jedi Knight story, but when you meet her, she's already dead. She's actually on the floor because this other guy has sort of like basically dragged her back, and then she just died right there. And so this is the only time you see her. And then if you go to the Wikipedia page, there's like this whole page on her. There's a whole write-up on her, surprisingly full. Like, given the fact that you learned virtually nothing about her, really. And then the picture of her is her dead, face down on the ground. So
that's hilarious.
So if you go to Enna Tabord's
really
Wiki article, it's hilarious. Like there's this whole thing about the blah blah blah, that Jedi Knight was going to meet her on blah blah blah, but she turned out to blah 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 blah, and she carried a lightsaber because you can see her body has a lightsaber,
right?
And plus she's a Jedi, and
right,
and she seems to have been overconfident in her abilities,
and she's just lying face down.
She's just like face down and face down dead. Anyway, so that is like one of my favorite Wikipedia entries, just because it's ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, if you want, could you copy that into the chat in case people want to check that out? And we did get a raid from Zamzam. Hey, Zamzam, thank you. And so, both before and after my trip, I've tried to get into the 64-bit PTS, and it's nothing doing. I cannot get into it. Every time I do it, the game starts up, it goes to eventually, like after quite a long time, it goes to the server select screen, but there's no server. It's just an empty it's the server list is there, like, you know, like it's kind of a box with some lines.
But there's no graphics?
There's no letters in it. There's no servers actually available. And it's not invisible. I've tried like clicking on it to see if there was something there that I just couldn't see or whatever. There's just no server showing. So I did put in I did what you're supposed to do when you test, which is to put in the report. And I did my little thing that shows what hardware I've got and all that stuff, and sent it in like they asked. So hopefully that will help, and hopefully they'll be able to figure out like why at least some people aren't able to get into the test server at all. It's just not showing for them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it eventually. I'll keep trying it, and especially I'm happy to hear that there's going to be another like build, because presumably stuff like that might be something that gets addressed. So yeah, and I did go on the. This was also before the before I left, but I was looking at the like the forums to see, and there are some other people having the same exact problem I am. It is a thing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, hopefully that new build is gonna take care of those problems that the people are having with
exactly. So all right, so that'll bring us to the tip of the week. And I put in one, but we also got one from DL Smooth Wolf. The one I put in is just kind of for fun, because I was just trying something. I didn't know what would happen. So if you're stealthed and you manually, because if you have a buff on your companion, you can manually remove it. Like like the snowball buff, for example. If you want to redo the snowball buff and you don't have anyone else around, you can keep doing it on your companion by unclicking the one on them, and then you can just redo it, and you can still have a chance to get the package.
Right.
You can also manually remove the buff for stealth on your companion, and it will automatically unstealth them, but it'll automatically unstealth you as well. And then your stealth will go on cooldown the way it does. It's like a 4-second cooldown or something like that. I was just wondering what would happen if I tried it. Because in my head, what would happen is he would become invisible, and then they would attack him. And then I could start the fight or whatever. I just kind of figured that's how it would work. But no. The instant you remove your companion's stealth, your stealth goes away as well. So, that's funny. Yeah.
Nice try, Chill.
Just a little, yeah. If you're ever wondering what would happen, that's what would happen. From DL Smooth Wolf, he wrote in, Happy New Year, OotiniCast. DL Smooth Wolf reporting live from somewhere across the galaxy. How was everyone's Life Day and New Year's? Both excellent.
Great.
I can't wait to see what adventures y'all get into for 2023. Tip of the week is more of a challenge, actually. Try to survive 2023 on a main or alt character and reach level 80 without dying once. And that's something I will accomplish sometime. Yes, I haven't done this challenge for a while. I tried this a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember watching you do it.
I tried and I died, so I didn't make it. I remember exactly where it is. Voss. There's this weird fight in Voss, and it was a combination of hubris and the fact that the fight is a little tougher than I remembered, because there's like a couple. It's kind of a semi-boss mechanic. It's right at the end of Voss, and I was on I was doing like a Han Solo cosplay. One of the few times I've done a Star Wars related cosplay, and I was on a smuggler. And right at the end of Voss, when you're going to the Dark Heart,
right,
you go into this fight, and then there's like some critters you have to fight, and then it goes into like this sort of mini boss fight, and it's like a gold star and then like another one. And the gold star has this like really weird mechanic that I can't remember exactly how it works, but basically it's like you kind of get stunned and stuff like that, and you kind of get like it's just a worse fight than I remembered, basically. Like, I thought it was a pretty straightforward fight, and it turns out there's a sort of a mini boss mechanic to it, and I just I should have vanished to avoid dying, and I didn't, and then I died. And so that was the end of that character, because I never touched him again. I followed my own rules, and I never touched him again, and I think I've actually deleted him since then. But yeah, it's actually not a bad challenge to do. You definitely... it definitely adds a little spice to some really basic things. Like a lot of times I will like parkour down just to save time instead of going around the long way. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to parkour, I have to be really careful.
Right.
Because of course there's also like the other fact is like if you get slash stuck and then go into combat, that could be a problem because you can't slash stuck if you're in combat because you'll die. It automatically kills you. If you do a slash stuck when you're in combat, like it kills you. Yeah. Right. No falling deaths, no slash stuck deaths, like nothing that would.
Wow. Yeah. I'm surprised you made it that far.
Yeah. I was even like being really careful to avoid, like when I was on the fleet, it's like, okay, it's rare, but sometimes people will like, friendly pull you. This is a while ago. I think it works differently now, but yeah, I was like, I don't want to get pulled like into the pits in the middle. Mm-hmm. So I was like trying to, kind of be a little extra careful even on places like the fleet. So yeah, yeah. But it is a fun challenge for sure.
Yeah, if the Rakghoul event was going on, you'd have to be extra super careful not to get that Rakghoul plague. That's right,
the Rakghoul plague, and make sure that you have the the things that will get rid of it for sure, or else you're definitely your character is definitely dead because it's a time bomb for sure if you don't go and get that right away. It's a fun little challenge for sure, and I should probably do it again. Yeah. One thing is like it guarantees that you're only going to do solo stuff because you can't do a flashpoint because like it's too easy for a group to wipe. Like even if you have like a character who can vanish, there's still a good chance that you're still going to get killed at some point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And of course you can't do PvP either because that's guaranteed you're pretty much going to die.
And you're definitely logging off when you go on a bio. You don't want to come back and for whatever reason your character's dead. You're like, no.
So getting all the way to end game is a challenge for sure. I should probably do it for sure, for real again at some point, but not right now because I'm actually enjoying the PvP thing. I want to get back into PvP, and if I'm doing that, obviously I can't do a character who's not allowed to die. So at least in my heart, it's like you could always say, okay, well I can't die out in the world, but PvP is another thing.
Right.
It's your life, your rules. But for me, it's like if I'm doing a character like that, I don't want them to die like at all under any circumstances. So I think for now I'll hold off, but it's a challenge I should get back to. And I agree. There's like ways to level up that make things spicier for sure.
Yeah.
All right. If you have a tip of the week, send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show for a chance to win a Tonfon M8 3R droid code or an M2B9 droid code plus a 450 CC code. And DL Smooth will be getting that since he was the only one who sent one in.
Congrats, DL.
Yay! And thank you for DL for the email. That'll bring us to the Mind Trap. And let's see. So the question was, have you ever arranged time off to play a video game? And so we also did it on Mastodon, and so I haven't had time to change the numbers, but there was just a few votes. It wouldn't have changed the numbers too much. We're still sort of slowly building an audience over there as well. So for now, it's pretty minor, but that's okay. So we'll just go with these numbers for now. We got 145 votes on Twitter. The answers were not just yes or no. I decided to break it down a little bit. Have you ever arranged time off to play a video game? So yes for SWOTOR, yes for another game, yes for SWOTOR and another game, or others, or just no. And so 145 votes, and well, overall the yeses definitely took it because it was almost 80% of them said yes in some way.
Surprise.
Yeah, the overall winner was yes for SWOTOR plus others with 40% of the vote. Second place was actually no, 20.7, but right behind them was yes for another game, and then just behind that, yes for SWOTOR. So all of them had a pretty good amount, and then yes for SWOTOR plus others was like the clear winner. So the only 20% was a no, which was actually included me, which is weird because I actually came up with the question. I was just thinking, I don't even know why, because this is a sort of question that might pop up like at the beginning of an expansion, which is like, I think when most people do sort of take off time, for games is like would be at the I guess expansion start or something like that. But 7.2 had come, and some people do stuff like that for for stuff, even for
it's a good
7.2
idea.
and things. Yeah, exactly.
Wait, was yours no?
Mine was no. Actually, I've never actually arranged time off to play video game.
You call yourself a gamer.
I've arranged my life to play video games, but that's not really the spirit of the question. The spirit is like, have I like taken time off from work? And of course, for one of the reasons is, since I've stopped having a 9-to-5 job, there is no such thing as taking time off to play a video game.
That's
or
true.
You're saying that I'm 100% of the time I'm taking time off to play the video game. There's two ways of looking at it, but really there's no way for me to take a day off. But even before that, obviously I've done SWTOR since the beginning. We were doing the OotiniCast since before launch, but I've always sort of found ways to just, play the game and not have to like actually take a vacation or anything like that. That's just how I do it. So, what about you, Kitty, though?
Oh yeah,
so
I've done it. I've done it for other games and SWTOR.
So yep.
But particularly for SWTOR, I've taken lots of time off.
Several times. Yeah.
Yeah, I would kind of just, ask when I took time off for when the game came out, like release date. That's when I took my vacation. So I was taking like the week off because I needed to get down dirty. And I didn't want to get interrupted or anything like that. So
right.
And I think I took time off for Rise of the Hutt Cartel as well. And
okay.
I've done it several times for SWTOR. But follow your passions.
Right.
But I remember my coworkers would make fun of me.
Really?
You're really taking time off for a video game? I'm like, yeah. Like what? Who gives a
if
crap,
it's your hobby, it's your hobby.
That's my hobby.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't mince words either with my boss. I'm like, yep, I'm taking a week off. I'm taking my vacation for a video game.
There you go.
I was like, okay. All right. I go, don't call me either because I'm not coming. Because I used to tell people that I'm going to Seattle. I'm like, all right, bye everybody. I'd say it on Facebook, bye, I headed to Seattle, so no one would bug me and like I couldn't get called in or
right.
Like that. He was out of town.
That's funny. Some of the other people who wrote in responding to the Mind Trap in other ways said, Rigo Mortis said, the question should be, have you ever arranged time to play to play and then got burned by a delay? That has happened to people for sure.
Happened.
It didn't happen to me for playing SWTOR, but it did happen for one of the cantinas. If you've listened to the OotiniCast a long time, you know that we all arranged to meet there. Tio, I got to see Tio and everything.
Oh, right.
But it turns out because they delayed the thing by a week, we all met in Vegas, and then we had a great time, but we didn't get to see the cantina because we couldn't. None of us could extend, our vacation a whole week to see it the next weekend. So these things do happen. Like I said, back in the day before responsibilities, I have gone out of work to finish FF7. Final Fantasy VII with SWTOR. Other guys never called out. So there you go. Empress Valen said, maybe.
I like that one.
So a lot of people have. So 80%, almost 80% were yes in one way or another. And then only 20% like me have never copped to it, at least.
Never copped to it.
All right, so let's go to the Cantina Talk. This is a relatively new segment, which we do occasionally, where we talk about, we pick out a voice actor from the literally hundreds who have voiced for SWTOR over the years. We've talked about Tara Strong, Nika Futterman, John DiMaggio, Tom Wilson, Darren Norris. Oh, hang on a second, kiddies. Okay. I'll do a little vamping while he's heading out. Lacey Chabert, Kath Susi, Darren DePaul, David Hayter, Steve Bloom, and Tom Spackman. And we're going to talk about Tom Kane this time, but we're going to go ahead and wait until Kitty's back. I'm going to do a little clap here so I can find it on the audio track here. And I'll do another one, hopefully, when he gets back. Now I'm just vamping because I don't want to do this part without Kitty. It's always fun to find some of these voices, though. Like it's not quite as easy as you might think. Like there's a lot of people who have voiced SWTOR over the years, but sometimes I'll look them up, and either like SWTOR is one of the few things they've done, or they've done a lot of stuff, but just nothing that really kind of grabs me to talk about, that sort of thing. And that's nothing against them, it's just, I like to have a hook of some kind, so it's fun to, talk about like, Darren DePaul because we've met him, or, stuff like that, or Lacey Chabert because she's been, she was in Mean Girls and all that sort of thing. Let me do another clap. And Kitty's back. So yeah, Kitty. So this time we're going to do Tom Kane. And do you recognize that name by any chance?
Oh yeah. Definitely recommend him.
There you go. We've done that before on the show. He is, in fact, yes, the narrator in the Clone Wars and other places. He does do some narration in Bad Batch, apparently, according to IMDb. Although I don't remember them doing that, but it must be there somewhere. But yeah, he has a very distinctive voice. In SWTOR, he does probably the biggest role he is M14X, who is one of the companions. He's the trooper droid companion who is very gung-ho about the Republic, for the Republic,
the most patriotic droid in the game.
Exactly. And he sounds almost exactly like he does when he does the Clone Wars narrator. Like, it's a very, very similar voice that he's putting on. And if you pull it up, though, he's done tons of other voices in SWTOR. Yeah. There's a whole list of them. Commander Narlock, A4PO, ARGO. There's a bunch of droids, actually. Vorton Fett, Dr. Tabo, General Ando. So if you just kind of keep an ear open, once in a while you just pick up on one of these who actually is Tom Kane as well. And so highlights for me include, of course, 4X. I love the 4X. He's hilarious. The writing is very funny, and then Tom Kane's voice is just perfect for it. Just he's always talking about destroying the evil villains in the Empire and all this sort of thing.
Going off on side quests.
Yeah, exactly. Right. When he goes out on the crew skills, he's always gung ho about his mission that you've sent him on. He's always very, very happy about it. And he can actually become even though he's a trooper companion, he can become a companion for any Republic side character. After Kotfi Chapter 9, once you've got your alliance and you can do the alliance alerts because you've done Find the Findsman, then you go to the capital world, and of Coruscant in this case because you're Republic, and you talk to him and then do some PvP, and then you'll have him as a companion. And this is the mirror of Pierce, Major Pierce on the Empire side, who does exactly the same thing, but only if you're Empire. So if you have any Republic side character, you can actually get 4X as a companion eventually. He also, one of the other ones that I kind of like is Commander Narlock, who later is Vice Admiral Narlock. So he's actually a recurring character. And he shows up in early SWTOR as the Mon Calamari, who helps you, kind of, in one of the early boss fights in the Esselis. Like, you meet this Mon Calamari commander. He talks like, here we are, there we are. He does like a little like 4X, only maybe a little gruffer sort of voice to him. But like once you kind of pick up on it, it's like, okay, yeah, it's the same guy. And then he sort of helps you in the boss fight where they kind of cut through the door, and then you have the big boss fight there. I don't think those NPCs, Narlock and the other couple of guys, are actually doing much really, but it doesn't matter. It's not like it's a difficult fight or anything. But they do cheer you on when you win, though, so it's always nice.
And they also, every time I do, since the first time I've seen that part of the Flashpoint, I noticed that they have what look like little speakers on their chest. Like little Walkman speakers, and I'm like, what were they doing in there before I got here? Like, what do you guys? You got like some little audio club going on? What's up?
I don't know.
Next time you go through it, you'll see it, and you'll go, "Yep."
And it's on their uniforms, you say?
Yeah, it's right on their uniforms.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that. I'll have to check that out. Let's see. And he does a lot of droids. Basically, you see on that list. He's he has a very clear. He can do a very clear voice. I think that just kind of lends itself to a lot of droids. So A4PO is the droid on Tython. So the very first planet on the Jedi Knight story, he gives information about the Forge to your character. So he basically let you know where to go. And then Argo, or ARG-0, is the droid owned by Beryl Thorne when you first meet her on Terrace. This is on the smuggler story. And this is the one who's leaking hydraulic fluid and is sort of lamenting his condition. Oh dear, Mistress Thorne, all that sort of thing. I seem to be leaking hydraulic fluid again. Yes, that's him as well. If you're an Empire side player, though, you'll hear him as well. For example, as Vorton Fett a couple of times, especially in the Bounty Hunter story, because he's a cybernetic Mandalorian who knows Torian, so he shows up a few times there. Beyond SWTOR, Tom Kane has done a lot of Star Wars voices. So it's one of the interesting things. Like a lot of these other SWTOR voices that we've talked about, like SWTOR, it may be among the Star Wars things they've done, but usually like SWTOR is one of the big ones. With this one though, Tom Kane, like he's more known for like other Star Wars things than he is for SWTOR itself. He's certainly best known as the narrator at the beginning of every episode of the Clone Wars animated series. He's the one who talks like that. In that same series, in the Clone Wars, he also does Yoda and Admiral Yularen. He's also the voice of Admiral Akbar in The Last Jedi, so in episode 8.
No way.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I was looking up at the IMDb. It's like, oh, wow. He does Yoda, Admiral Akbar, and even Qui-Gon Jinn in multiple Star Wars projects, including like the Lego versions of the movies, other video game versions of the movies, some versions of Star Tours, Robot Chicken Star Wars, Star Wars Pinball. So like all these other variations, he usually does like Yoda now and Admiral Akbar, and sometimes Qui-Gon Jinn, a little bit less often, but he's done Qui-Gon Jinn several times as well. He is also the narrator voice in projects beyond the Clone Wars, such as Bad Batch. So if you hear a narrator in Bad Batch, that should be him. Beyond Star Wars itself, he's also Professor Utonium on all versions of Powerpuff Girls, which is kind of cool because that's a pretty important role, and I know a lot of people. Yeah, I know a lot of people like the Powerpuff Girls. So Tom Kane is the and I actually, because I'm not super familiar with Powerpuff Girls as a show. I'm super, I'm very familiar with the fact that it's, very popular and well known, and I know what the characters generally look like, but I hadn't actually like listened to any episodes or anything. So I went back and listened to him talk on that, and it's like, yeah, okay, I can see it. It's like it's different enough that it's not super obvious, but once you listen to it, it's like, okay, I could see that being the narrator of the Clone Wars, or I could see that being 4X, that being the same guy, which is pretty cool. He's also Lord Monkey Fist on Kim Possible. Also as a recurring character, and a lot more actually. Like a lot of voice actors, he does tons of like one-offs where it's just like he does one voice on one episode of one show and then moves on, does something else. His IMDb page is another one that's like yards long.
He's a legend.
Yeah, exactly. And so he does like regular characters as well. He doesn't only do a narrator and announcer voices, but I did like a little search. The word announcer appears 15 times on his IMDb page, and the word narrator appears 40 times on the IMDb page. So that's something he's definitely known for is his announcer's voice. Yeah, he's excellent. So
meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Meanwhile, exactly. Yeah. So Tom Kane, we love him. He's excellent, and there you go. Mm-hmm. All right, that'll bring us to the Holo feed. Not a ton of news this time around, but we do have the in-game events for January. Life Day is still going. We have one more week, and I did notice it's been showing up on the Conquest, and it showed up this week as well. If you get enough of the packages by throwing the snowballs, I think you have to do it 25 times successfully, which is a lot, because you're only successful like one out of 10 times or something like that. But anyway, that's something you can actually do for Conquest. And so that's still going on. There's a new Life Day Gala hat, Family of the First Seed weapons, the new string lights, the new colored wreaths, the new string lights decoration.
Yeah, they look great too.
Yeah, and I like how I like the new decorations on the fleet too. I think they did some excellent ones really there. Cool. The All Worlds Ultimate Swoop Rally just did finish, so that one is done now. So we can kind of skip over that. The 11-year anniversary is going on, so that one is actually like we talked about for a whole year, the 10-year anniversary, and then now it's like the 11-year anniversary. But this one's like a lot shorter. Like instead of going a year, this one is like, well, actually it's finished. So it just did finish. Today. And it was like a certain vendor, and so they it was basically the 10-year anniversary with I think it had a couple new things. So it's all good though. And I'm sure they're probably going to bring that back at the end of the year for the 12. I would presume.
Yeah, I would presume.
Yeah, Requil Resurgence is coming up not this week, but next week, starting on the 10th, going through the 17th. This one's going to be on Corellia. And usually the gang for the Jar Jar Joyride, they will usually do the related bosses for that.
The eyeless and then some stuff.
Certainly the eyeless, and sometimes they'll do some of the other stuff around there too. And so we'll probably be doing that one then. And Relics of the Gree is then coming after that one, January 24th through the January 31st. So, and that's another one that the gang with the Jar Jar Joyride loves to do when it comes around. So we'll probably be doing that one as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always, that's like the look of the Gree stuff, you know, the Tron like,
I love it.
Yeah, look of the Gree stuff has always been a favorite for me. And so that's really cool.
Not to mention the Gree aliens are incredibly unique.
Yes.
In the game. They're super cool looking.
Right, because they're not just another humanoid, basically.
Right, exactly. And I love that their technology is just so far ahead.
Yes.
That they were a huge part of the infrastructure on Coruscant that actually, you know.
Right. And yeah, that's right.
And actually work. And they come back to check in on us.
Yes.
I love the idea that they're kind of caretakers. Oh, we'll give you a little bit, but we're not going to teach you the secret of
everything.
Eternal life.
That's right. Yeah, and like even though like the Gree were sort of like big, like hundreds or even thousands of years ago, like they're still like ahead of the game in terms of technology for sure.
That's cool. Not to mention the
black
boss
bisector
fights.
and all that sort of stuff, huh?
Yeah, their language is really cool.
Yeah.
But some of the I forget what's it called. There's a boss fight that you can only do when the Gree is available. It's one of my favorite boss fights because you have to synchronize different colors and people have to stand in certain things.
Right.
And I've always liked that fight a lot.
Yeah, that's a very cool fight.
It's not too difficult, you know, especially if you've never run in a boss fight like that before. It's a great kind of introduction to game mechanics and how to beat bosses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. Yeah, last time we did that one, and then we also did the two little world bosses that are kind of around there. Those are really simple, especially since like other people can kind of help and gang up on them. They tend to get wiped pretty fast, but one of them has like a big kind of this big knockback. So on whoever it's focusing on, so it's like when I was a tank, I was like, I get knocked back and then I have to try to get back as soon as possible and regain aggro, because it drops aggro as well when it does that. Because when it's hitting other people and knocking them back, but also doing a lot of damage to because if they're squishy, which usually often they will be. But yeah, those are really fun. And so that's coming up, and that'll be the end of the month. There's just not a lot of news out there this time, folks. So what happens is, and this has happened, forever, like every year. This is regular as clockwork. This is just how they do things. Basically, the dev team gets a good chunk of time towards right at the end of the year off, and so everyone can get a little unwinding done and have some time with their families and all that good stuff. And I very much appreciate it. We appreciate the dev team.
Exactly.
And and I'm sure things will pick back up. Now that we're in the new year, we'll start to see more stuff on the forums and blah blah blah. Hopefully the PTS news will be interesting as well, and and we don't know exactly what else will be coming up soon. We did have 7.2 drop not that long ago, so but it is pushing. We're close to a month ish. It'll be a month by the time we do the next show anyway. Wow, and so it'll be hopefully we'll get some indications of what they're looking at doing after that, because there's
very exciting.
Yeah, we don't know what they're up to. I just was reminded today that like we haven't had any crew skill update in the 7.0 era. We're still using the 6.0 era stuff, and I know that they've mentioned that they at least want to do an update to it. Now, whether they actually have time to do that or whether that's coming soon, I haven't heard. No one's heard. So it'd be interesting to see, because like I keep thinking like I'm still making all these end game augments, and I'm keep thinking at some point the market for these are just going to go off a cliff, because as soon as there's any sort of indication that there's going to be new augments and new everything else, no one's going to buy them anymore, and
it's inevitable
just going to go away,
right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
In theory, they should be hopefully coming out with some new crew skills, and they used to update it with
the expansion,
with the updates, with expansions and
usually
stuff, but the last two they haven't,
right?
So that's interesting.
Although I think with 6.0 it didn't take nearly this long, because we're like 11 months in, like we're pretty far into 7.0 right now, and I think it's 6.0. I think it was only, I think you're right. I think it didn't drop right but I think it was like 6.1 or something like that. I think it was pretty reasonably quick after that.
Right.
But there's just there's been they've been very busy.
Up to 700.
I mean, we've got this huge UI update and everything else, so it's like I understand it's not like they're resting on their laurels. They're super busy. But it'll be interesting to see if that happens reasonably soon. This might be the sort of time when they do it, like they just did 7.2, which was like a big story drop. A lot, a whole daily area, a whole new planet, like tons of stuff. That's more like like game focused, and then maybe now they'll go to some of these other sort of systems and stuff like that. Anyway, we're just vamping and and
I've been eagerly awaiting the crew skill stuff and more crafting things.
Yeah,
because it has been a long time. I don't know. I have so much of the grade 11 stuff. Like tens of thousands of units, and I don't know why, but I keep getting more and more and more. Like being a longtime MMO player, you never know what's going to be the new hotness, so just kind of keep hoping for the best. But it's good. It's got to happen at some point.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Anything else, Kitty?
Yes. So for the last several times that I was going to be on the Working Class Nerds for technical reasons or incompetence on my part,
what?
that I can't remember the date.
Oh, I see.
Like I was all ready to go Thursday, and they're like, no. It's the 12th, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you guys on the 12th.
So you were like literally like several weeks ahead of time.
Class Nerd.
All right.
The 12th, so come by and check it out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did raid Marcus the other day, and
nice.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. But I was like, no one else that I really knew was playing SWTOR at the time. It was kind of a funky time, and so I was like, you know what? Marcus is
awesome,
and I even said to everyone before we switch over, I usually don't switch to a different game, but let's go say hi to Marcus, and so we did, and he seemed like he was having fun. I think it was sort of an Apex Legends type of game. It was like I'm not sure if it was or not, or something similar to that anyway.
Yeah, Destiny 2.
Well, okay, that's right. Yeah, that sounds right. Destiny 2. Yeah,
it's a pretty game.
Very pretty. Yeah. It looked like he was having fun, so but it was nice chatting with him for a bit, and it seemed like things are going well. And yeah, so I'm excited that you'll be there on the 12th. Do you know is there a topic or anything like that, or a reason?
I don't think so. Probably if I'm on there, it's probably going to be degenerate, talking about farts and stuff like that.
But so that'll be short. In any case, that'll be shortly before the next show. So 9 days from now, and then it'll be a few days after that, and we'll get to catch up and see what you guys talked about. Yeah. Of course, it'd be even better if folks want to check in and listen to the show itself. Now, they don't usually do it live, right? They still do the thing where they like to do the show with you, and then they put it out as a podcast only. Right.
I think that I know that they've been doing live shows sporadically, but I'm assuming it's going to be pre-recorded and then put out. So
sounds good.
It's going to be fun, though. It's always fun.
All right, then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Ootini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Sadil Sean server, or in our
Ootini Rage, Bobby.
Guild on the Empire side, do /cjoin Ootini to join the Ootini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast or Mastodon @OotiniCast@mastodon.world. You can find contact details for us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, by streaming at twitch.tv/OotiniCast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. Thank you to the chat room.
Thank you, chat.
And we'll see you next show.
Bye.
All right.
I got you.
Let's go ahead and we'll get a raid going of some kind.
NORSE.
Okay, hang on a sec. Let me get to the dashboard here. NORSE. Okay.
Correct.
And then let me see if it shows. NORSE. Wrecker. Okay, I see him. Yep. All right, we're going to raid Norse Wrecker. And thank you for coming, everyone. Thanks again to Zamzam for the raid. And we'll see you next time.
Toodles.
Crossing fingers that I'll be able to do the PTS. I really want to do that. Here we go. Okay, let me go to the OBS, stopping the stream, stopping the recording.